Don't call us on the air until you get this knife set.
Yeah.
I would say this would have been a today's special with the lowest price in history. Yes, it's a 10 faves, but what we have is what we have. One knife would pay for your purchase. I'm serious. Have you seen what a chef's knife goes for at retail? These have not only that full tang, that beautiful balance, they're made in the same way as those knives that are kept in the locked glass case. In fact, we in the past have had a legal retail compare of $100 just for a chef's knife.
Totally.
But that's just one of these. And by the way, look at the genius design on the butcher block. Don't we love that? I mean, check that out. And there's even like a little kickstand for
look at that. You can put your book here like I have
look
here.
At this.
I know, it's perfect.
Isn't
so
that
easy.
Genius. Hey, right next to the butcher's block, though, we also have the knife sharpener, which I'm really going to recommend that. So, Wolfgang, we've laid these out for everybody.
I know, it is incredible
like
how many knives you will get. Can you see?
So you get your Santoku utility knife. I love that bird's beak, that paring knife.
I love it as a paring knife, for example, to take out from the tomatoes the stem. You don't want to see the stem on it.
Nope.
That's really easy.
So there's that bird's beak. Then, of course, we've got your paring knife. Notice the shape on this, too. Actually, you know what I'm going to do? Look at how Wolfgang designed this so that it really creates a nice little rocking motion, so you don't have to worry about your hands or your fingers or the angle of the blade.
It's thick enough so you also can cut with it, because a lot of people are scared of the bigger knife. They use a lot of the smaller ones. So this is really done so you can hold them and cut, actually, so you don't touch your fingers.
Then, of course, you get the chef's knife. Love this little scallop tomato knife. Isn't that cute?
Yeah, and great for spreading things, cutting like bagels and stuff like that.
Now, we call this the rocking knife. You could use it as a chef's knife.
I'm going to show you why it's a rocking knife. Now, look at that. Instead of having a half moon, a mezzaluna, so with this one, if you want to chop your parsley, your basil, your fresh herbs, whatever it is, it's great to chop.
Right, okay, and then we have the Santoku, the slicing knife.
The slicer, great to slice any like a turkey, like to slice your roast beef, like you slice your ham.
The bread knife, and then of course this genius 6-inch Santoku chopper knife. Then of course, now I'm not kidding.
Knife.
I should show you my little receipt from not from HSN, by the way. I bought a boning knife because I'm making bone broth a couple times a week. I spent $40 just for a boning knife earlier this week. Then of course you get the cheese knife. You saw Wolfgang demonstrate that during the salt and pepper mills. And then the scalloped utility knife. Plus the butcher's block. Only thing missing is a partridge in a pear tree. You got everything else.
This is like as good as it gets. And the knives are fully sharp.
Okay, here's the problem. You know, Wolf, they're saying we're probably going to get to the today's special early. I was smart enough to order mine early because we now have only 900. Now, I got to point out, I don't know where we got these retail prices. I'm serious because, listen, I know we like to be conservative, but
you know, we started looking at all these famous German knives, you know. They are the king of the knife makers. Nobody will say, and me the first one, I said, you know, the German knives are fabulous. But so expensive that you couldn't buy this set. This would cost you $800.
It really would. I'm not even kidding. If you have been to, you know, it's not a Wolfgang store, but it's another cooking store that starts with a W. And if you ask for knives that are made like this, they keep them behind a locked case. You have to get somebody to help you. So no kidding, when we say conservatively, if you were going to buy that rocking knife or even the chef's knife, generally a chef's knife is around $100.
They start at that price. It's so crazy.
They really do. And I'm not kidding. From another website, not from HSN, literally this last week, because I make bone broth every week. You're going to want to do it in his pressure cooker. Believe me, because it's so much faster. It takes literally 30 minutes instead of an entire day or 2 days. But I bought a knife elsewhere for $40 just for a boning knife.
They are so expensive, the knives. I mean, the German knives, you know, they're very good. I'm not...
They're nice knives.
They're very good knives, but if you pay $100 for a knife, it better be good. Now,
it better be good.
I bought knives in Japan for $300 a knife.
And you know, it's interesting too. We're going to go right to the phones, but in the world of cooking, chefs are very possessive about their knives.
Well, every chef has their own knives and everything,
So here's the thing. Francis in Washington actually has cutlery from Wolfgang and a lot of other Wolfgang Puck kitchens.
Hi, Francis.
Hi, Francis.
Hi.
How are you?
Oh, I'm fine. I'm pleased to talk with you.
Oh, we are so excited that you called me. You know, you're the first caller tonight, I think, huh?
Well, thank you.
Thank you.
And I wanted to mention that I have your huge, large pressure cooker.
Yeah.
In red, and I also have the other pressure cooker, the smaller one in red.
Yeah.
And I just fixed a roast the other day, and I put a can of tomato soup in there with the water.
Yeah.
And cooked it in, and that was really delicious.
Oh, thank you. Thank you.
Francis, he makes a great product, doesn't he?
I love watching HSN. I watch it every day.
Oh, thank you.
Well, we sure couldn't do it without you, Francis. I hope you're going to stick around. We're going to make you hungry with that pressure cooker at midnight, you know. Well, grab a midnight snack and
get ready, get ready. Now look at that.
Thank you, Francis.
I enjoy your show.
Thanks
you,
so
Francis.
much.
Take good
now,
care.
How easy it is to...
Bye-bye.
Thank you, Francis.
Look how pretty that
Look how easy it is. But if you don't have a good knife, you wouldn't be able to slice the tomatoes. They're mozzarella.
Can I just point out, Wolfgang makes it look easy, but the knives help because you get those little cullens.
Exactly.
So the buffalo mozzarella doesn't stick to
nothing sticks to it. If you slice potatoes, whatever you slice with that makes it so
and
much easier. Let me show you.
Yeah,
look at that.
even chopping the basil, you can see like that little...
And look how soft that is. It's really soft.
It is.
But it goes through without squishing it. So you can get a nice slice
perfect clean cut
of mozzarella.
And Wolfgang, when you're chopping the basil too, that little lift, you know, gives it at the right angle.
Exactly.
Right?
So if you have a lot, if I have to cut just a little bit, I use this knife.
Yeah.
If I have to chop more, I use the bigger knife. Obviously, if you want to make some crostinis, for example, so you use the bread knife.
And it's the perfect knife for each job.
Marianne, you want to give me a little sheet pen?
Here's the,
please. I will be glad to.
Here's the thing, guys. It is 8 minutes or sellout. We are very, very close to our today's special starting at midnight. Don't let Francis be the only one. I know we have huge fans of Wolfgang's pressure cooker out there. But if you're like me, these are the knives that I need and that I want in my kitchen. And really, no one else does a knife set like this. Normally, knives like this are sold a la carte.
Exactly.
So when you want a bread knife, you buy a bread knife separately. When you want a cheese knife, do you know, I've never seen any other chef do a cheese knife in their set, in any knife set that I've sold here at HSN. Here's the other thing about the knife set. This is also not coming back. It is not cost effective as a company here at HSN to do these big knife sets anymore. So in the future, you'll see knife sets, but you won't get this much bang for the buck. I will tell you, you're going to be spending around $60, but it's going to be for 3 or 4 knives, not for an entire set.
Yeah, no, this set, for that price, I think there's no better deal out there. I was actually shocked. I said, oh my God, it's going to cost $99 or $129.
Actually, you know what's interesting? The original price on this was, I think, $99, and it was a deal at that. So, sorry, Michael, I'm just going to shift this way again real quickly, because it's on this wonderful kind of rock and roll, like this Lazy Susan, you know, bamboo holder, which I think is great, this butcher's block. There's your little ledge for your Wolfgang Puck cookbooks. Then, of course, everything fits beautifully. I also love that the knives are labeled, so it's a little quick, you know, cheat sheet for you, which helps all of us out there. And then, remember, your knives are going to get used. So be smart and get the knife sharpener. Now, I think you're seeing that knife sharpener item number rotate at the bottom of the screen. One of the things that makes Wolfgang's knife sharpener unique is you can do scissors. Now, I actually have a pair of scissors in my kitchen right now that it's so sad. They're like $29 scissors. I was thinking of getting rid of them because the blades are dull. And now, I don't have to buy new scissors.
Look at that. If it's cheese, if it's sausages, any kind of meat, don't buy it already sliced. It's generally the leftover or it's dried out. So you get a good knife like my slicer here. See that? I can cut that in thin slices. And perfectly. So then, if you want to make little sandwiches, whatever, I make a little crostini with mozzarella and a little bit of basil. So you sprinkle just a few of these things on top.
Well, and Wolfgang, isn't it true, and I don't know if I'll show the item number later in the show or not, like I love Wolfgang's steak knife set. The wrong knife can really ruin a great meal or the prep for sure.
Oh, totally, totally. If you don't have good knives in the kitchen, it's a problem already.
It is.
So look at that. So you can serve that just like it is here.
How cute.
A little appetizer with a little glass of wine or a beer.
know.
And it's in seconds.
It is, but if you're like me, the thing is, I have knives in my kitchen, but I don't have these knives, and I certainly don't have, well, now I have Wolfgang Puck knives, because, you know, the reality is, if you love to cook like I do, part of the reason I didn't have a great knife set is they are always sold a la carte. And as we move forward, I remind you again, we are not going to be doing these big knife sets. In fact, you know what's interesting? Earlier this week, because I bought a boning knife elsewhere, it was $40 on its own, because we don't do knife sets anymore on hsn.com. So even when I was surfing our website, I was only finding knives individually. Seriously, we don't sell sets anymore. So the fact that we are doing this tonight, it is for your eyes only. It is only for the next 600 people who shop with us. Boy, you want to talk about a gift? Wolfgang, people would lose their minds if they get this.
If you get a gift like that, you're going to think they spent $350, $450 for sure.
You will. That is no joke. And it looks impressive. This is obviously something that you can keep on your counter. I love the fact that it actually makes your job easier in the kitchen, because, of course, it's going to hold your Wolfgang Puck cookbook or your Marianne Getz pressure cooker cookbook.
You can open it up if you want to. Look at that. See that?
Isn't that smart? So it's just going to be so handy, and it looks impressive in a kitchen. By the way, Father's Day is next Sunday, and Dad wants knives in the kitchen. I mean,
you know,
really
we
does.
all need knives to cut our grilled food, the chicken, the ribs, whatever it is.
Another sellout, by the way. If you were trying to get through, the salt and pepper mills are gone. So
see?
thank you very much.
We have very few of everything today, so we are going to try to make you feel at home and give you the best deals we ever gave you here.
And don't let Francis in Washington be the only one. Of course, share your testimonial, especially on that pressure cooker that's coming up at midnight. I wish I had a whole hour on it. That's the only bummer about doing the first show of the day, because sometimes we get to, you know, get a little more exposure as the day progresses. But the good news about me launching it is I'm going to have all the colors, and I can tell you for a fact that won't be the case as the day progresses. So remember, if you're one of the next 500 people, you get this knife set, and you'll never look back. If you're like me and you've always wanted a really great knife set, but it's been cost prohibitive, because good knives are expensive, these are made in the exact same way as those big German knives.
That's what I was used to buying when I was a kid in Austria or in France, wherever. So we had always this knife. Now we have kids in the restaurant school, in the cooking school. They all buy my knife, because why? They are just as good and affordable. You don't have to mortgage your house or say, okay, I don't want to go out to eat or anything because I have to buy a knife. Now look at that here. You can have a melon, for example, and you want to make a little presentation. So look, with my small paring knife, I'm going to cut a zigzag just like that.
And a good knife is essential when you're doing something like that.
Everybody needs knives in the kitchen.
For sure. But otherwise, you know, you're hacking and trying to get that through that rind.
Look at that.
Perfect cuts every time.
So simple, so easy. So now, if you want to fill them with ice cream, with a sorbet, you keep them cold.
Or berries.
Or just simple berries. You know, you put them on a table.
You know, it's interesting.
Cut off the back a little bit so they don't move.
You can tell these are great knives when you pick them up. I mean, just like a fine garment, you know, you can feel a fine fabric or leather in an automobile. There's a beautiful balance. It's a full tang. And then, of course, fully forged. But you can see it feels, it looks, it performs like those knives that would be, you know, literally hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of dollars.
One knife for the price of the whole set.
Oh, for sure. For sure. And if you shop for high-end, high-caliber, gourmet, fully forged, high-carbon steel, full tang knives elsewhere, made exactly like the German knives that are kept under lock and key behind glass. You know, there's a 30-day unconditional money-back guarantee, and you get this at home, and no kidding, you are going to thank us that you did this now. So even though the clock expired, we're going to give you about 60 seconds or sell out.
All right.
Oh, beautiful.
Now,
do a
look
little
at
pineapple there.
Pineapple. You know, we buy fruits always chopped up, and it's never fresh then. So now you can buy your pineapple and eat it when it's ripe. A lot of time the pineapples are green, so let it sit outside on your kitchen counter. When it gets yellow, you just take off the outer skin, and here we have, I use my boning knife for that because
so don't get hung up on what the knife says. You can, you know, use it for whatever job.
This one needs a knife which is not too wide, makes it easier to cut off. Look at that.
Oh, hey, by the way, if you made the phone call, you got it. Now, do not hang up. Boy, you're 3 for 3, my friend. So, all right, don't hang up. You were smart. You got the knives before we sold it out. And then a lot of you are asking